Hi everyone. Today I've got three knives to sharpen. A big scimitar Victorinox for steak, a large Wusthoff Classic, and a Baccarat Cleaver. So if you want to watch, I'll do them right now. Check this out. My new Kangaroo leather strop. I just made it. It's a bit over-engineered, but it works great. I'll be using that today. So, first things first, I'll start off with the big Wusthoff. Grab my clamp, pop it in. I'll try and work as fast as possible, but I'm going to do these in real time. So it might be a longish sort of video. Where's my cloth? You can see my work process. So, this wheel's getting a bit small, which means it's always going to interfere with the leather wheels, so I'll take it off. And this is very smooth, so I'm going to, well actually, this one seems to be in pretty good condition. So no, I'll give it an 80. I'll give it an 80. That raises, just that is all it needs to raise the grain. Let me check the angle. Oh, that's very low. I reckon around about there. And what did we learn about Wusthoffs in the last videos? I'm going to give this a 13 degrees on each side, maybe 13, 14. So a 26, 28 degree. That's about 30. Lean it over a bit more. That's about 28. Straight into it. You'll notice the water's not coming up over the edge, which means we're nowhere near an apex yet. When the water starts coming up over the edge, then you know you're getting closer. That's two on each side. No burr yet. How are we travelling? Well, getting pretty close. I'll show you what I'm looking at. So you can see that shiny bit at the top, that's the old edge, and this is my edge. So that's me, you can see it's shiny, 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 quite shiny at the back there. The front is getting pretty close. You see how that's an underdeveloped tip? That's because I'm being very gentle on that tip. For those who are scared to do a, you see that one's more developed. and they're uneven at the moment because I haven't finished this one. But how's this going? Yeah, this has still got some shine on the top. That's the old edge, but we're getting there. I've been making inquiries about the Kangaroo tail strops, and there's a chance that I will be able to sell some to you, or at least the leather for it, without a permit. The permits are for people who do the tanning and the hunting, and of course California has banned the import of all Kangaroo products, but that's fine because California sucks. I'm sorry to hear if you're in California. Maybe I'll stop there. No, maybe. Bit of a burn now on the tip. Yep. Getting there. I've lost some of that grain. So when you only just touch it briefly, it raises the grain of the wheel a little bit, but it doesn't last long. And it's better to do it in pieces because you don't want to grind too much of your wheel off. Every time I touch it, obviously it wears the wheel down. Now I can feel it and it's rough again. That's the beauty of the diamond plates. Definitely getting there. Got a burn now. I'll give it a couple of more lighter passes. because obviously not only does the speed affect how much it grinds. Obviously, if you go slowly, it's going to grind more, but also the amount of pressure that I'm pushing down on here has an effect as well. My fingers are cold. I can't feel. Sometimes if your fingers are cold and you can't feel that way, you can go more on the top and you should be able to feel it gripping. But I want a nice strong burr on the 80 grit, so I'm going to give it a few more goes. Just check those tips that they're even, they seem to be. Now I have a good strong burr. And I'll show you. See, that's such a beautiful bevel. I love the Tormek, man. It does this perfectly. And luckily, I was able to control myself and didn't dig into that guard very much. So we've kept everything original. You can tell a Wusthoff that hasn't been sharpened, because look how sharp this finger guard is. See how it's a sharp V? Usually if you've ground down, you have to round this off, and they're all rounded off. But yeah, so that looks magnificent. Tips are good. Great. Now smooth that off with a 320. Beautiful. Why noise? Something's making a noise. Oh well. Okay. I think it needs a bit more on this side. Maybe one more. Definitely burred up. So, hoping that from this angle I don't have to worry about moving the camera too much. me just... Of course, I freehand burr. Regulars will know this, but for new guys, welcome. I'm a freehander. So I'll do the back of the burr first. I feel for the gripping point, which is when I'm on the bevel, and then I raise the knife up so that I'm working the apex. I find that it does the whole job quicker. And I don't really care for shining the bevels. They're not really, that's not the job. And plus it keeps a bit of tooth on the bevel, which is sometimes handy. This compound here starts at 8,000 grit, so this is similar to giving it an 8,000 grit finish. That's probably why my knives are so sharp. The compound that, the paste that Tomex suggests, it's messy, it's expensive, it's a hassle, and it ranges between 6,000 and 8,000 grit. Whereas this goes from 8,000 to about 16,000. It degrades and becomes finer and finer as you use it, to the point where it's not really doing much anymore, and more burnishing than cutting. And then I test it. That feels pretty smooth except for right at the back here. And this tells me that the primary burr has been removed when it's smooth on my fingernail. But of course, as we know, that's not the full story, because there is still a remaining root of the burr which causes trouble. And not only that, but the root of the burr is kind of soft and can wrap around the edge when it's used, and therefore leading to a blunter knife sooner than is necessary. And so by removing the root of the burr, you make the knife last longer. That's one of the tricks. But you need to get it off somehow, trickily. I use the, trickily? That's not a word. I use the Kangaroo strop, and this is the first time you're seeing me use this. Excuse the mess. That's finished. 10 strokes. I'll do this half the knife first. And the good thing about this, as opposed to the hard block, is that it has a bit of give, right? And obviously the tension with which you pull has a difference, but I think it doesn't make that much difference. Should be it. And a real world test will be the tally-ho. Let's see how this goes. Beautiful. Does it do sideways? Nice. That's that done. I squirt them down with a bit of IPA, 90%. And what does that look like on a telephone book paper? Beautiful. Cut a covey. No problem. That's as sharp as the sharpest thing on the top shelf at the sharp shop. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the large scimitar. Now, the long knife jig is called the long knife jig, and you'd think that it's be used for long knives, but it's not necessary. This jig will do longest knife. That's more for holding the blade, this thing here. Right, it's more for holding the blade in a longer area in order to stabilize a thin knife. So this is a flexible knife jig, better name for it. Not necessary for this. So I'll pop it around about there. Measure the angle. And I'll give this about a 30 degrees, I think. Change to 30. Now this edge looks a bit rounded and old, so I'm going to have to give it an 80. You can see there's really not much there. No hard bevels anyway that we can see. See if we can do this whole thing in one take. That'll save me editing time. I was thinking of going live. Let me know in the comments if you'd like to watch me live. It's more casual, there's more dead time. But, so now, I don't know why it's making so much noise today. What's this trough? In order to do a long knife like this, you need the long knife rest, which is the US 430. Just get it. I know it's 180 bucks or whatever, it's ridiculous, but get it. That's all I can say. Because it's not only useful for long knives, it also has a much deeper thread, which means you can lift this rest up, which is handy when you do cleavers. You can sit up here and do the cleavers instead of having to come at the front and do edge trailing, which is not a good way to sharpen. Edge leading, where the stone comes to meet the knife, is a much better way of sharpening. Now, what might be interesting for you is a comparison. So this is the old edge. You can see nothing much there. And this is the Tormek edge. Right, see that beautiful hard bevel? Nice. And that's after 2 runs. Now, one thing with the long knives is that when you're this far away from the wheel, there's a lot of friction coming up, and it tends to want to push the knife up, so you have to be steady at the end. Oh, already starting to get a burr there. The Victorinox is a little bit softer, even though it's made of the same steel, X50, same as the Wusthoff. I think the Wusthoffs are heat treated differently, and so they're a bit harder. These seem to be a little bit softer. Now that has its benefits. They're easier to sharpen in the field, in other words in the kitchen, so you can touch them up on a steel or on the back of another knife. "26 minutes so far." Remember to go slower when you're coming around these corners. Make sure you give the wheel enough time to do its job. And people say the Tormek is too slow. Yeah, there might be faster ways, but look at the edges. They're so beautiful. They're accurate. It's more precision. You know what I mean? I think that I'm very happy with the Tormek. It just seems, but again, I've got nothing to compare it to because I haven't used all the other machines. I don't have a 1x30 or a 2x70, whatever it is. Although I'd like that I might be able to do more accurate finger guard beveling, heel beveling, removal, and maybe even some thinning, which I can't do on this. I can feel that burn now. Where is it? Oh, it's on this side. Okay, so I'm back. I got interrupted there with a phone call which cut off the camera, but I'm not sure whether or not I've already done the fine side, but I have now. And if I have, I'll edit it. But so I can feel a strong burr there. I think we're done. I'll show you what that looks like. Nice. Beautiful. Onto the hone. Feel for the burr side up. And onto that apex. And when I say I'm on the apex, I'm not up here like this, obviously. I'm just slightly elevated over the bevel. Feel for the burr. few rough spots still there. Well, look, I don't know if you can see that, but there's a little piece of burr. See that little piece there? That's metal. That's a piece of burr there. You go. You don't get to see that very often. Oh, how are we going? Still feels a bit rough. Oh look, another piece. See it? There it is. Just pinged it off. Now, I don't know if you can see this, but you should be able to see a little shine on the top. See that? That's the micro bevel that I've just put on the hone. See how it's shiny at the top? That is the little micro bevel, which is probably at around about 30 degrees if I've done this knife at 28, or if I've done this at 30 then it's about 32, but that's fine. Like I said, people are obsessed by angles too much. Oop. So let me just check it again. Yeah, smooth. 10 strops on the Kangaroo. Bit chunky on these long knives, but you get there. Ten on each side is plenty, according to the tests. A couple more a little bit lighter. I wonder what the back would do. Why not? Never done this. It's kind of rough on the back too. So let's test it. Obviously it'll go through magazine paper, and obviously it'll go through telephone paper, but the real test, will it go through cigarette paper? Perfect. Horizontal. A bit of a draw through, but that's good enough. That's great. So that's good. Now, last knife, Cleaver. And I'm about to show you why the US 430 is such a fantastic addition to your Tormek rig. Right, in fact, let me compare the two. Alright, so this is your standard one, and this is the 430. Look how much extra room you get on the thread. Right, you get an extra that much, which is crucial for when you're elevated and doing the cleavers, as you're about to see. So, obviously with a cleaver, there's no good down there, because we're on the back of the knife. We're not even near the blade, look. So you have to elevate the jig, or the rest, to around about there. I know roughly because it's equal with the middle of these knobs. So that should be around about a 16 right there, I think. Let's see how I go. I'm going to make this super sharp because the chef, who's right behind the camera there, say hello, chef. Hello. There you go. Says that this won't be used on any bones or anything hard like that, only veg. So that means it can handle a very sharp edge. So I'm going to give it a 16. Sorry, not a 16, a 13, which is about a 26. And this will make it super sharp. All right. See, I'm doing a cleaver at 16 degrees on the from the front edge leading, which is the best way. And let me just make sure that's even, good, and really lock this up tight. Now this edge has a bit of chipping. Right, see it there? So that means I'm coming in with an 80 grit to really shape that bevel. Now I'm curious as to how thick that edge is. It's 0.5 mil, 0.50, which is quite thick. And again, you can see that bottom, this shiny bit here, that's me. This top shine is still the old edge. You can see the chips there. So it's going to be a cracker. I'll do it 3 passes on one side while I'm establishing the bevel. That's okay. See, this is after. Where's the shine? There it is. This is after, still the chips are there. And this is before. Oh, nothing there. Beautiful sharp bevel there. I've got a burr all over, and those chips are gone. Don't forget, likes are free. Hit that like button if you're still watching, because you obviously like it. Let Google know. And thanks for watching as well, because I'm around about ready to be monetized. I've got about another 100 or so hours of watch time. Now that's not 100 hours of video, that means 100 people have to watch for an hour. And I'm there. So spread out across all my videos. I'm probably going to get there in the next few days, which is exciting times. As soon as the advertisers can start paying me, the sooner I can start buying more cool stuff that we can watch. I was thinking about buying a few clips for the best meter the other day, this morning. And I was making inquiries about kangaroo strop leather. It seems like I may not need a permit. The permits are for people to catch, kill, and skin and tan. But once the product is made, I'm almost certainly able to sell around Australia, and except to California, probably around the rest of the world. I think I mentioned that earlier in the video, but it bears repeating. All right. So that's done on the first phase. Nice. Now I'm going to smooth it off to 320. Take down a few of those grains. Nice. It should sound quieter. You don't need that many passes on the finer grain, maybe 3 or 4. I'd recommend more than 2 for sure. You want to make sure the job's done. Beautiful. That is finished. Grinding, maybe a little bit more on the back side. Beautiful. So this is how fine it looks off the 320 grit diamond plate. Nice. So now I deburr. Feel for the burr, where is it? Burr up on the first run. You always deburr the back first to weaken the burr, and then it falls off easier instead of being so violent. If you try and deburr the actual burr straight up, what I mean by that is the burr side, I think it's too violent and causes a rough edge. Whereas this smooths out the back and makes taking off the burr much easier. A few little prickles still there. Smooth. Take that off. Be careful when you're doing this. Okay, and you can see that primary and secondary bevel there. There you go, see, shining off the top. It's just that very, very top apex there's got a bit of a shine, which is where all the sharpness comes from. Okay, so now I have to remove the root of the burr on the strop. I wish this was longer, but this is as long as I could get it. Feels rough because of the edges. The ridges on the kangaroo tail is what's making all that noise, but it doesn't harm the edge. Okay. Magazine paper, obviously. You impressed, Chef?
Of course.
Telephone paper, no problems. But the ultimate test. And we're finishing up with this. Cigarette paper. That's a little bit noisy. Might give it a few more little stropperoonies. Oh, nice entry. Push cut straight through. Start the slice, then push. Okay. Not bad. I'm happy with that. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe if you want more of this stuff. Thanks for watching. See ya.